Long before Christmas lights glowed across suburban rooftops, long before Santa, sleigh bells, or decorated trees, even long before Christianity itself reached the shores of the New World, ancient American civilizations looked up at the same winter sky we see today and saw something extraordinary. They witnessed the longest night of the year, a cosmic turning point when darkness reached its peak, and the sun was believed to be reborn. Tonight, we travel thousands of years into the past, into frozen forests, snow-covered plains, sacred mountains, and forgotten cities, to uncover a story almost no one talks about. This is the story of winter before Christmas existed. This is the winter legends of ancient America. Our journey begins not in Europe nor the Middle East, but in the ancient landscapes of North America. A place where winter was more than a season. It was a spiritual battlefield. For millennia, the people of this continent lived in direct relationship with the land. Everything, the rivers, the forests, the wind, carried meaning. And when winter arrived, it arrived with purpose. Imagine standing on the Great Plains 3,000 years ago, snow biting at your face, the sky a deep winter blue, herds of bison clustered together for warmth, and in the center of this powerful world, your entire community waits for a single moment, the rebirth of the sun. Because for the ancients, winter wasn't something you endured, it was something you honored. And so, long before the first Christmas ever existed, winter in ancient America had its own legends, its own rituals, its own miracles. To understand these winter traditions, we must start with the event that shaped them all, the winter solstice, the longest night of the year. To us, it's just a date on the calendar. From the Arctic Circle to the deserts of the Southwest, people watch the solstice with intense reverence. Why? Because in a world without electricity, without furnaces, without supermarkets, winter was survival. The sun meant life. Its return meant hope. So every year across ancient America, entire civilizations paused and gathered and waited for the sun to rise. We travel now to the stone mesas and canyonlands of the American Southwest, home to the ancestral Puebloans, the ancestors of today's Hopi, Zuni, and other Pueblo peoples. In these lands stands one of the most extraordinary winter traditions in human history, the soil ceremony. Held in December during the solstice, this ceremony was believed to welcome the sun back after its longest absence. Inside underground chambers called kivas, sacred fires were lit, prayers were chanted, and dancers wearing symbolic masks performed movements representing the spirits of nature. These weren't celebrations in the way we think of holidays today. They were acts of cosmic responsibility. The people believed that through ritual, through intention, they helped turn the sun back toward the earth. Imagine that, a civilization believing that without their ceremonies, the sun might not return. And as dawn broke after the solstice night, they watched the first rays of sunlight, golden, weak, yet triumphant, spill over the sandstone cliffs. To them, this was more than sunrise. It was resurrection. From the Southwest, we travel northeast to one of the greatest ancient cities ever built in North America, though almost no Americans alive today know its name, Cahokia. 1,000 years ago, this city near present-day St. Louis was larger than medieval London, and at its center stood something astonishing, a massive wooden solar calendar, known today as Woodhenge. Hundreds of towering cedar posts formed a perfect circle, some aligned precisely with the sunrise on the winter solstice. At dawn, Cahokian priests would stand at the center, waiting for the sun to rise exactly between the wooden pillars. Why? Because the winter solstice marked the renewal of cosmic order. Here, too, fires were lit. Offerings were placed on altars. Songs were sung to honor the spirits of the sky. The city came alive with people who believed that the universe was speaking, and they were listening. In many ways, this was their version of a sacred winter holiday, a festival of alignment, a celebration of the world's balance. In the deep northern forests of what is now Canada and the upper United States, another winter tradition emerges, one that might surprise you: the use of evergreens. Yes, pine, spruce, and cedar branches played a role in native winter ceremonies, long before Christmas trees appeared in Europe. Why evergreens? Because they never die in winter. To the Anishinaabe, the Cree, the Ojibwe, and many others, evergreen branches symbolized eternal life, spiritual protection, and the resilience of nature. During winter gatherings, cedar was burned in purification fires. Pine boughs were placed on lodge entrances. Evergreen wreaths were hung to ward off negative energies. Pine needles were used in sacred medicines. Sound familiar? This wasn't Christmas. This wasn't Christianity. This was the ancient language of winter, spoken long before the arrival of Europeans. Across ancient America, winter wasn't only about prayer and ceremony. It was also about community and giving. In the woodlands of the Northeast, the Haudenosaunee, the people of the Longhouse, held great winter gatherings called the Midwinter Ceremony. This celebration included ... feasting, dancing, gift-giving, renewal of social bonds, storytelling deep into the night, a ritual dream-sharing tradition to clear the spirit for the new year. Yes, even gift-giving existed here long before modern Christmas tradition. But these were not consumer gifts. They were offerings of food, tools, clothing, the things that actually meant survival. Generosity wasn't a holiday gesture. It was a cultural obligation, a sacred responsibility to ensure no one entered the harsh winter unprepared. Now we journey to the far north, to the tundra and frozen ocean, where the Inuit, Yupik, and Inupiat peoples lived for thousands of years. Here, winter was more than cold. It was darkness, months of it. Yet in that darkness, something magical appeared. The aurora borealis, the northern lights. To the Inuit, the shimmering green lights in the sky were not just natural phenomena. They were the torches of spirits, guiding the souls of the departed. During midwinter gatherings, families and clans sang songs to call the spirits closer, told stories of sky travelers, lit whale oil lamps to honor ancestors, played winter games symbolizing the balance between life and death. Imagine celebrating winter not with trees and ornaments, but with the cosmic dance of the heavens above you. This was a Christmasless world, but not a joyless one. Among several native nations, especially in the plains and southwest, a recurring figure appears in winter mythology: the winter child, a sacred child born during the darkest night of the year. Not a child of Christianity, nor connected to Christian theology, but a purely indigenous myth. This child symbolized hope, represented the rebirth of light, was often said to grow into a great hero, was associated with the return of the sun. Some Pueblo stories speak of a child born when the sun went missing. Some Algonquian stories speak of a boy who brought fire back to humanity. Some northern tribes tell of a child who carried the dawn inside him. Do these stories resemble the idea of a miraculous winter birth? In some ways, yes, but they emerged independently, from the land, from the people, from the struggle to survive the coldest nights. These are not copies of Christmas stories. These are ancient echoes of humanity's universal relationship with winter. Across the continent, one symbol unites nearly all winter traditions: the sacred fire. In winter, fire meant survival. Fire meant community. Fire meant spirit. Among many tribes, fires were kept burning all night during the solstice. Embers from last year's fire were used to start the new one. Flames represented the sun's strength. Smoke carried prayers skyward. In some ceremonies, the fire was believed to hold the sun in place until dawn. Imagine sitting in the dead of winter, in a snow-covered world, as the only light comes from a single sacred flame, believed to keep the universe alive. This was the winter faith of ancient America. While summer was for traveling, hunting, and building, winter was for storytelling. Every nation, from the southeast to the Arctic, kept its greatest stories for the coldest nights. Legends of star beings, trickster spirits, heroes born from snow, animals who taught humans how to survive, ancestors who walked through storms, gods who guided the winter sun. Winter was the original M, and as the wind howled outside, generations passed down the wisdom of the ages. One of the most fascinating winter traditions in ancient America wasn't about rituals at all. It was about peace. Many nations observed sacred periods of winter peace. During the harshest weeks, wars were paused, raids were forbidden, clans shared resources, strangers were welcomed into lodges. Hunger was treated as a communal burden. Why? Because winter was the great equalizer. No tribe could survive it alone. This tradition wasn't about a holiday. It was about humanity. When European colonists arrived in the 1600s, they brought with them the Christian holiday of Christmas. But here's the irony. Many native winter traditions were older than Christmas. Many themes were similar, yet completely independent. The rebirth of light, evergreen symbolism, winter feasting, community giving, sacred fires, mythic winter children, seasonal peace, solstice. Christmas didn't replace these traditions overnight. In some places, indigenous and Christian traditions blended. In others, native winter ceremonies continued in secret. But the deeper truth remains. Winter had been sacred in America, long, long before the word Christmas was ever spoken here. Many of these winter traditions still exist. The Hopi still celebrate the soil. The Inuit still honor the lights in the sky. The Haudenosaunee still hold midwinter ceremonies. Evergreens are still used as medicine and protection. Tribal communities still gather to share resources when the snow arrives. Storytelling is still a sacred winter practice. The ancient winter has not vanished. It's simply adapted. So the next time you see Christmas lights glowing in the cold, or a decorated tree shimmering in your living room, or a family gathered around a warm fire, remember this: long before Christmas existed, long before the first carol was sung, long before the New World was even called America, this land had its own winter miracles, its own legends, its own traditions of light, hope, and renewal. Winter has always been sacred here, and the stories of ancient America still echo through the longest nights. This is Before Christmas Existed, the winter legends of ancient America, and this is the mind of the ancients.